Oh, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. And I hope that many of you can find me because I originally was doing it on my personal page and I've transitioned it over to my business page. So it's at Transition What Now. Hopefully you can find me there. If not, no biggie. We're going to post this and on the repost you'll catch it. So I am excited that you're here. Hopefully people will be logging on in and today we're going to talk about floundering in sport retirement and what that looks like. So we'll get to that in a bit, but first, hey, if we've never met, I am Janae, founder of Transition What Now, and where I specialize in helping people thrive through transitions. I am a author, an entrepreneur, a wife, and a homeschooling mother of 5. I have led over 2,000 live webinars. Hi, welcome, come on in, let me know where you're coming on in from. Thanks for finding me. And so I've led over 2,000 live webinars. However, today's is the launch of my Facebook live streams. So that's a whole new bear. So thanks for being part of my inaugural Facebook Live for retired athletes. All right. And I know that this is a journey near and dear and close to many of our hearts. So yeah, please come on in and let me know who's in the room, where you're from, maybe your sport that you did, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But we are going to talk about what transitioning is looking like. Yay! Hi, Stephanie. So I have written this book. Here it is. And I know it's always backwards on these, so, maybe you need to watch in a mirror. But here's the book. And so we're not going to be teaching like everything from the book, but I'm going to take a lot of concepts from my book and teach about those. If you would like to get the book, it's something that would help you beyond what we cover here at the lives, you can go to transitionwhatnow.com. You can go to make sure you like my Facebook page. That's where we're going to be live broadcasting these from, and that's where the books will come from, okay? I'll keep you posted on some courses I have coming for athletes as well. All right, so let's get a conversation going about what this retirement from sport looks like. Here's the deal. This is not TV. This is a live stream. So when we build and get more and more people, it's really important that you are engaging with me. So if I ask a question, comment back. If, we can do wow faces and thumbs up and hearts, and that makes it more fun and exciting and engaging. So this is definitely an engaging process, okay? All right, so that's number 1. First, can you give me an adjective that you would describe your retirement from sport? For some, it might be something like wandering or unfulfilling, lost, exciting, scary, happy. Floundering is what I thought of. That's why I named this things. I think we kind of flounder in this process. So go ahead and comment what's an adjective that you would use to describe that phase when you're done with sport and figuring out life. I chose floundering, and the other one I chose was praise seeking, and we're just going to call that an adjective right now. Okay, yes, praise seeking, definitely, that I kind of really wanted. All right, so most times we are floundering, and if you see me look right, it's because literally I've done 4 live broadcasts, live videos, and webinars today, and I promise you, with everything I got going on in my life, I did not memorize 4 live webinars. So I've got notes I get to read from, and then I get to talk to you. Okay, so most times we're floundering with things like identity, body image, working out. Nothing compares to this thing like being an athlete, doing things myself, rebelling, seeking praise, like I said, trying to find the next best thing, that type of thing. Hey, Ann. So that's kind of the things that we'll explore today. And my hope is that you'll see that you are not alone in this sports retirement gig, that you're going to experience all these things. And so today I'm going to kind of give a big bird's eye view of what you might be experiencing in your floundering. And then on future episodes, we'll talk about that later. We'll kind of break down each one of these things and get more into solutions and what to do about it. But today it's like really about in my floundering of life after sport and knowing that all these things are okay. All right. So first we're going to go through is identity. That's a big one. A lot of us have this identity thing with sport. I call it the who am I and what do I do now syndrome, right? And it's exactly the words I experienced out of being an athlete. So it's like, who am I? What do I do now? I just felt that those words kept coming to me. And so it is hard. And so this actually is something that kind of occurred before you stopped your sport. So when you're an athlete, your identity is kind of being molded as you're young. And so again, your sport might be different than mine, but this all could come through in the same manner. So when I would show up with at family parties, at just events that my family would bring me to, it was always how's gymnastics? Oh, you're the gymnast, and can you do a flip? And but they always want to talk about gymnastics, and for whatever sport you were in, I'm sure it's the same thing. And then it was, I just feel like I'm 4'11". I walked like a gymnast. I talked like a gymnast. And so I embodied gymnast, and that became who I was. And I actually have a funny, true story about this. So when I was working at this place called Chelsea Piers in New York City, and there was a lot of celebrities that would come through this place. And Jay-Z used to come, and I'd see him and say hey then again. And one day he came to me and he's like, he was talking to me and he said, are you a gymnast? And I said, yeah, why? He's like, you walk like a gymnast. And it's true. We all have this certain walk or things we do when we're of the sport we're in. So I can see it, like I can pick out football players, right? They just, the way their necks are, the way they carry themselves. Usually, I'm pretty good at it. Wrestlers, it's not just the cauliflower ear, although that helps, but they have a way that they walk. Football players, wrestlers, basketball players, soccer players, baseball players, hockey players, rock climbers, snowboarders, right? There's just kind of a way that we have about whatever sport we're in that we identify with. So that's something that that happens. And then we get used to this bubble that we're in of this identity. And so when that bubble is removed, well, we're uncomfortable and we flounder and we just don't know how to be in that place. Excellent. Hi, Olympia. Yeah, your son's a soccer player and you can pick them out and they've got those nice quads that that they do a lot of running on those puppies, right? So I want you to feel like, give me a thumbs up if you can kind of relate to that you don't know who you are in that place when in that bubble is gone, right, of that identity. Yes, that is exactly the experience. So the next topic we're going to talk about is body image. So don't discount this if you are a male. For males, your body image can be like, oh, you're no longer an athlete, and so your body, it loses a lot of that athletic stud muscle, right? And gain some fat. Maybe that you don't gain a ton of fat, you might just be smaller. So a lot of big male athletes just become smaller, and they've identified always being this big, strong dude. So that can happen for men. For women, we tend to not be working out as much, not building as much muscle, and then we gain fat. And for me, it was definitely, I was quite bulky in college, so I didn't, like, it's okay, it wasn't as bulky. I kind of lost some of the bulk, but then I gained like this back fat or these belly bulges, and it was like, oh, that's new and interesting. But and it's just, we have a odd concept of what a body should look like as athletes, right? And what it feels like. So that's something that we want to think about. But, I've embodied a mom 5 times over. And so I should be excited about this new, I have a mom body. Let's just face it. My body's a mom body now. But this beautiful machine that we had as athletes, we just have this expectation of what it should look like always, kind of thing. Okay. So the next one is, and then some of you, wait, let me back up. So some of you in this body image thing, you've continued in a fitness type endeavor, so your body's kind of stayed the same and you're content with that, and you know what, good on you. That's pretty awesome. Okay. So the next one we're going to talk about is working out. This is another area that I feel like a lot of athletes struggle with. So we are on the gamut with working out. It starts when you're done with the sport. It's like, I don't have to do 6 a.m. lifts anymore. I don't have to get up for this or morning workout. Swimmers, dude, those swimmers wake up and work out at like 5 a.m, swim before school and then after, or as pros, it's nuts. So we no longer have to do that. We don't have 4 hours of training a day. And for some of us, that's a blessing. Our bodies are having time to heal. So I think that that's something that we are excited about. Practicing 4 hours a day with like 8 body parts hurting at once. That's just something we get accustomed to. But when we're done, we're excited we don't have to feel that pain. I remember stairs. I just think of stairs. And I used to look at stairs when I was an athlete with like, they're pointless. I don't even want to see them because that's expending extra energy that I don't have. I want to save this energy for on the mat. So I did not like to use stairs. But meanwhile, I just picture all of our teammates coming out of practice after working out, and literally we have to go, eat and take the stairs, and we're all iced up. Every body part's got ice on it, or at least some body part. So again, if you can relate, give me that wow face. Like, this is not normal. That we walk out and we feel like that's normal, just to be taped up with all this ice packs all over us, walking around, and or we think it's cool. That's neither, right? But it is definitely something that we get used to. Hi, Tracy. We just talked about wrestlers. You missed it. We'll do it again. So that body image thing and that working out thing is definitely something that we experience. But then the working out, so maybe you're excited about it, but then there's that other gamut I was talking about where you can't quite find anything that you like or the time to put into what you had in your previous sport, right? So you no longer have 20 hours a week to devote to something else. And nothing, ice packs and Advil, you got it, girl. Nothing, that's another point that you're right with the Advil. We just pop those puppies. Oh, so not healthy. But this working out bit is you want to find something that compares or that you love again, right? And so some of you have pickups, like pickup basketball, pickup soccer games, adult leagues. You know what? Many like football players doing some pickup football games and after pro, or gymnasts doing things like this, or maybe wrestlers can scrap around, or snowboarders can still snowboard, but it's not at the level you used to do. I know some pro endurance sport athletes that when they stop, it's just, yeah, they can do it, but not at the level they used to do it, and that becomes the problem, right? Sure, I can still run a couple miles, but not as fast and as powerful as I used to run, 10 miles, no problem, kind of thing. And that's where that kind of becomes a challenge. Okay. So, so we try to find something as fulfilling, right? And that is not how it works. So just again, we're giving an overall view. All right. So the next topic we're going to talk about is everything being handed to you. So as an athlete, you have this certain persona, and maybe this is more of like high level athletics where it's set up for only thing that you need to focus on is you doing your sport. So can you think of some types of things as an athlete that were done for you? And when I think of this, I think of things like medical care. So give me some ideas that you had when you were an athlete, the things that just kind of were done for you, maybe at the college or pro level. Your medical care is this, I mean, PT, you don't even have to leave the room. Sometimes it's in the facility that you work out in. Sometimes it's packing your bags. It's just you show up and your bag's all packed, ready for travel. Booking your travel. Have you thought about that? And it's free. I mean, to have free travel, like my family and I of 7 could just show up and be like, here's your tickets, have fun. So travel, swag that's thrown your way, all these things that when you are, again, when you're done with sport, you don't even realize that, planning travel to away meets, you don't even realize that sometimes that's kind of handicapped us. We don't have to do anything, and therefore we're not trained in doing these things. And I actually interviewed in my book, so in the book I do celebrity interviews, and in there's some interviews with some athletes that experience this, and I can think of Svetlana Boginskaya in particular, a multi-time world champion, and she was like, when I was done, I literally didn't know how to like book myself anything to go anywhere. Yes, very good, Sylvia. Telling you what is expected to wear at certain times of competitions. Yeah, we're told what to do and when to do it for most of our lives. So when that's gone, and everything is handed to us, it's hard. It's hard. All right, so next topic is what I'm calling praise seeking. And again, can you think of some of the ways that you were praised as an athlete? So I might give you some examples that could help you kind of think. But we were praised on our bodies, right? Like how strong we were. We were praised on how we performed at a certain game or performance. We were praised. So sometimes that meant you were on the cover of newspapers or websites or magazines. You will, you would have been praised in social media posts. You could be the subject of social media, right? And that's praise. We kind of get all these different forms of praise, and that becomes a bit of a drug. Like we kind of get used to this praise, and it starts very, very young. So it starts, a lot of these athletes who, these little league athletes that were in locker rooms and different venues, and let's say they're playing little league and they're praised literally like, 10 years old, 8 years old on this field, having these great touchdowns, and like they're praised from a very young age. And then forget about, you go through high school and then on to college and then the pro level for some of them, that praise has just been instilled in their whole life. So I was just a college gymnast, and that still was an issue for me. So you can imagine all these elite and pro level athletes that are sponsored and have different levels of praise that we can even imagine. But all of it, so my point is that all of it is still challenging. All right, so the next part we're going to look at is having team. That's another area we really miss, having teammates surrounding us to support us. And again, we'll get into like what are solutions for this. For right now, we're just kind of identifying areas that are very challenging. Not having our teammates. That's something we miss the most. Our teammates that have grown with us, that have had the blood, sweat, and tears with us, that we have inside jokes with, that know us in ways that no other people do maybe. And that's hard. So that's one thing. And the next is we're going to talk about is that nothing compares. So for me, this played out in a few different ways. A lot of universities and even pro-level teams and leagues, they really promote you having a great career. There's a lot of effort that goes into you having a great career out of sports so that you can transition and take all of your tools and all of your amazing life skills from being an athlete right into that career. And to be honest with you, for some, that works. For some, that is something that they can throw themselves into and accomplish things in climbing that ladder. But for others, let me just say, like, I feel like I tend to help the mental health side of all these transitions, right? So physically, you go get a job. Cool. You're onto something else. But for me, I got that job. out of college, I had that quintessential wonderful job. I had a great salary. I was in the pharmaceutical industry in Manhattan, and I had a car. I had parking paid for. And let me just say that parking in Manhattan was, I think it was like close to $400 a month. Okay, just paid for. I mean, that's people's like, some people's rent or whole car payments. So I had the car, I had the parking, I had the cell phone, I had the computer, I had the expense account, I had a good salary, like I said, and I had wining and dining of these physicians in the nicest restaurants in New York City. So that could be something that you would think like, oh, well then great, you're on to it. But that felt very empty to me still. And I would be at these, I mean, there are some really fun things about it and things I learned, obviously, but I'd be at these conferences where they'd fly us to Orlando and spend this lavish money on these launches of these products. And many of you are in this industry, but for me, I feel like when I was at these conferences and they would have these sports themes, there's a lot of sports themes going on. They just wanted us to be sports teams. And I would sit there and everyone's cheering. And I thought, I don't want to pretend I'm on a sports team. I want to be back on my sports team. That's what I want. And it just is not working for me. So that's how I felt like. And then maybe no workout. You try to find other physical things that compared, right? And nothing just seemed to compare to doing the sport you love and have devoted so much of your time to. So give me a thumbs up if you can kind of relate to this. Like that is, yes, like nothing compared to this. That was challenging for me. And I'm sure many of you going through this, because there's actually this new, for gymnasts, we have this new college alumni gymnast group and on Facebook, and this thing is on fire. So I think in the first few days, it took off, like 1,200 people, and it's just gone. And some of you are watching here from that. So, I said same thing. Yes, thanks for the thumbs up from the college gymnastics group. But it's the same. So there was a question in the intro of some things you missed about being an athlete and what it's like and where you're, same kind of stuff that we're talking about. But in the question that what you miss in your life after sport kind of thing, it's similar answers all the way through all these dozens and dozens and dozens of athletes. And all of us came from different places. Thank you. Yes, Stephanie, especially trying to find workouts after career-ending injuries. So Stephanie is somebody I worked with for a while, and we struggled with career-ending injuries, and that's a whole nother. So there's all this that we can get into, because some of these reasons you're leaving sport is you get cut, you have a career-ending injury, you just retire out. So don't think for a minute that just because you're a college athlete and your 4 years is done, that you chose that. It's like you had no other option. You have to be done. And that's still hard, right? That's still retirement. Sometimes it's that you don't make the cut. You don't qualify to the next level. Okay? So there's many different reasons we retire. But I do know one thing, 100% of athletes retire at a high competition level. So 100% of athletes are going to have to go through this form of transition at some point. So I have homework for you. I do like to give homework. As many of you, I shared in the beginning kind of my bio, but I've done mental training with athletes for over 15 years, and I have a life coaching background, and so there's a lot that, I don't like to just, here's some things you can work, on, and hope, good luck to you, but I like to, give you stuff to take in action with this stuff. Now today, because it was more of an overview of everything, it's more of, something to think about. Okay, so my homework is for you to keep telling yourself, you're normal for floundering. It's okay that you're floundering and that you have support. Okay, so just kind of let that settle in this week. It's okay if I'm floundering and I'm experiencing all these things, and let this video be something to tell you, it's normal to experience these things. Now, there's a whole nother level that you might be experiencing that could be completely unhealthy, that is beyond my scope, and for that you might need professional counseling or help. So that, please do seek that if that's the case. But otherwise, a lot of these things are just normal. So this is, we have a few minutes for questions. So we're going to have a little like question time every week. We get to ask questions. And again, today was more of an overview. So, but now it's time for questions. And if anybody's logging in late, you have the repost that's going to be on there. You can watch the whole thing later and get all the deets and all that stuff again in the future. So go ahead and post questions while I'm talking. Post questions you have about retirement or things I've covered. If you have topics you want me to cover, let's, put them in the comments, put them in here, topics that you want to experience or kind of iron out with retirement. Like I said, I have all these things that we talked about today, and I'm going to break each one down to different weeks in my lives. So, for example, identity. We'll take a whole week on just identity. And again, we're going to be offering solutions, not just like, hey, yeah, I'm struggling with this. See ya. And again, this is kind of all part of my book, is there's a 5 secrets at winning in life beyond sport. And in that, we will go over some of these things. But the real in-depth stuff, go ahead and grab the book. It's awesome. It's a workbook. It has lots of things for you to write down. I like that. Okay. Yay. Yes, you can do that. Thanks for coming. All right. So, in a nutshell, I really appreciate y'all being here. I think it's going to be really exciting. We're going to do these every week. We're going to get this community where we can support each other and learn from each other. So thanks for all of your comments. Thanks for keeping active in this community. And yes, you can always email me or go to my Facebook page and comment from the repost of topics that you would like to see covered or talked about in our Facebook Lives for retired athletes. This is Janae signing off from Transition What Now. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you same time, same place next week for retired athletes. Have a great day.